So you got a listing appointment coming up and you're not sure how to properly price the home, or you're not confident in that. Well, I want to go over 5 things to consider when pricing a home as an agent. And also at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you the top mistakes that I see agents make when pricing a home. By the way, my name's Chad Leonberg, and I've coached hundreds of agents to build 6-figure real estate businesses while getting their time freedom back. And if you have any questions on any of the strategies we talk about, or would like to talk further about our Shark Partner program, don't hesitate to get in touch with me at the contact info below. Also, if you're a real estate agent, let me know your thoughts on pricing a home in the comments below. All right, so first let's talk about a CMA versus what we call a market absorption analysis. So this is a big one, and I harp on this a lot. First and foremost, we call our CMA a market absorption analysis to differentiate ourselves from all you agents out there that use a CMA or a comparative market analysis. But we really do use a CMA at first. So what we do is we do the CMA to get a range of value, right? So we say we find a house is worth, say, $355 to $370 or so after our comp analysis, and you do all that good fun. Well, why we call it a market absorption analysis is because we take that range of value, which is derived from past comps, which, as we know, especially in recent years, the market is not the same maybe even 1 month ago that it is today, or 2 months or 3. And these are past comps. These are homes that sold in the past, not in 2 days right now market. They sold 1 month ago, and that market often looks different than it does today, right? So that you also don't know what's wrong with those houses. Somebody could have, the house could smell like pee. It could feel haunted for some reason. It could have been because of a divorce. You don't know their motivations for selling. So there's so many factors you don't know with these comps. So it's good to do the comps to get the range of value that you're deriving from these comps, but ultimately you need to look at market data to see how to price the home in today's market. So a quick rule of thumb is months of inventory. If we see months of inventory in the 0 to 2 month range, we're going to push the price. We're going to push it maybe even up to 5% over what we think it's worth. If it's 4 to 6 months, it's more of a neutral market. We're going to price it more competitive, not competitively, but at the value that we're deriving from the CMA. And if it's 6+ months of inventory, which is insane and definitely a buyer's market, we're going to price it under what we consider market value from our CMA. So this, it's basically saying it's a second layer to a CMA. So you do a CMA and then you take the current market conditions. We don't just use months of inventory, but that's the easiest one to articulate and explain to people. And we factor that in to see how much we can push or pull the price based on what the market temp is. All right, so number 2 is consider the search portal options when pricing a home. So if you think a home is worth $375, for example, there's really no way to search $375 and under or $380 and under. So that's a big thing to consider. You probably should just price it at $400K. I mean, this is going to be very specific on the market and a few other factors that we're about to talk about, and I will talk about the top 8 mistakes I see agents make at the end of this video. But ultimately, consider the search portal options when pricing a home. The other thing to factor in, and a mistake that I made whenever I was early in the business, was hitting the even number. I definitely believe in marketing and selling, and it works. But putting it at $399.9 is actually worse than pricing it at $400,000. And I'll tell you why. Because if you don't know this, if you search 400 and under, $399.9 will pop up. But if you're searching 400 to 600, $399.9 will not pop up. So if you're priced at 400, you will get the people looking 400 and under and 400 and over. So if I'm pricing a home at $375, I definitely will do $374,990 because I believe in marketing and I believe in the psychology behind pricing that it feels lower than it is. But I ultimately want more eyeballs on my listing. So if I was on a $100,000 price point, I would be more likely to put it at $400,000 than I would be considered the marketing trick there. So number 3 is you should consider your local market. Is it an area people are moving into or out of? What type of people are moving there? Do you have the normality of the area, or do you have a smaller subset of buyers? That's really everything. If your buyer pool is large, you have a better chance of selling, and it's going to be easier. You're going to have supply and demand, more eyeballs, more traffic, more offers potentially, higher price in theory. If it's a smaller buyer pool, you're not going to. So you need to consider your local market, consider the local nuances when pricing the home, consider that maybe, in the county you have a low inventory, but in that specific town you might have a high inventory. I've seen it often where, the average in a county is say 1.8 months of inventory, but in this one market it's 3. which is drastically different. And that's something that you need to be aware of, as well as days on market. I had a listing recently that we had with our team, and overall in the area, homes were flying off. They were 17, 18, 20 days on the market. They were huge. And then in this specific market, the average days on market was like 35 to 40. So you need to really consider the hyper local trends when pricing a home, especially to set expectations for timing. So number 4 would be, is it a unicorn? The more unicorn-like it is, most likely the harder it'll be to sell. So what do I mean by a unicorn? Is it rare? Is it 1%? Is it a house that's unique? The more it doesn't appeal, now this can obviously go differently if it's like super cool unique and super different and there's nothing there, but the more it doesn't appeal to the general buyer population, the more likely it's going to be harder to sell, and therefore you should consider that when pushing the price. So for example, let's say that most houses are 3-bedroom and they sell for $350 in a market, and you have a 5-bedroom, and you're doing the CMA, and the bedrooms are worth this and blah blah blah, and you think it's worth, I don't know what they're worth in each market, but let's say it's worth $450 to you because of the 5-bedroom. Well, it may not sell very well because most people want a 3-bedroom home and they want to stay under $400K. So they don't really need the 5. It's excessive for them. And going over the $400K mark is hard for them in that community and the average income in that area. So that's something to consider. The more unicorn and the more not normal it is, the harder it's going to be. If it's the highest priced home in the neighborhood and maybe it is drastically better than the other homes in the neighborhood, it might actually though be harder to get if you don't meet the big buyer pool. It's all about that big buyer pool. The closer you are to that big buyer pool, simply the easier it is to sell. It's just another factor to consider when pricing a home. So the 5th thing is, let's talk about some of the common pricing mistakes that I see. So one of them is not putting it to the search portal, the search portal abilities, right? So if you price a home, I see it all the time at $342, $587. In my opinion, you just gave up in the battle of negotiation. You gave up for your seller. You gave up like $8,000. Because there's no buyer that wouldn't see the house if it was priced at $350, and there's absolutely no buyer that wouldn't make an offer if they liked it after they came in because it was priced at $350 versus $342. So that is definitely a huge one. I've seen it. We've even had a case where we've had multiple offers and it was priced at say $342, where we've had a price escalation go up to $365, and another one where the price escalation went up to $352. The interesting thing was the one that went up to $365 started at $350. Remember, this was priced at $342. The one that went up to $352 started at the $342 list price. Now imagine if that home was priced at $350. That second price escalation would have started at $350 and probably went up to even $355 or $360. You've disserviced your seller and potentially cost them a few $1,000s. So pricing it according to the search criteria is a huge thing. So don't get fancy trying to lower it a couple grand because it'll be different or stand out. In my opinion, you just gave up dollars out of your seller's pocket for no good reason. Another one, which we already talked about, is obviously pricing it using the marketing gimmick as opposed to appealing to the wider pool. Now, this is, so we use the example at 400,000, it's better to price it flat at 400 because you'll get people looking at 400 above and 400 and below. But there are places where I don't do this. So I would not do that at 375. Let's say that, the home was worth a little over 350, but we thought 400 was absolutely insane. We would price it, at 375. And if I'm doing it there, like I said a little earlier in this video, I'd price it at 374.9 because you're not going to get somebody that's looking 375 to 475 because a lot of search portals that doesn't exist. So really, ultimately to not make a lot of these pricing mistakes, you should go to Zillow, go to Redfin, go to all these different search portals, go to your company's site and see what the buyer search criteria is so that you can kind of counteract that. Another pricing mistake that I see is people that price it too high for negotiation. So there's really 2 schools of thought with this. There's price it high for negotiation and price it right to sell. Pricing it right to sell is, not that you want to undervalue it, but just right is such a big deal for all the reasons. So if you think it's worth, $450 and you go ahead and price the house at $500 because you think the market can handle it, there's super low inventory, and you have to reduce 25 and then reduce another 25 and you've been on the market for 35 days, people start to ask what's wrong with the house. So pricing it right, eventually you get down to 450 I was saying in that case. So eventually you get down to 450. And you probably get an offer. It's slower. It's been on the market for about a month and a half. You probably get an offer for 445. You probably get an offer for 445. As opposed to if you just priced it out the gate at 450, you'll probably potentially even get multiple offers because that's the proper value, and you will actually get over list price. So that's another common mistake that I see when pricing a home. So another big thing and a big mistake I see a lot of agents make is just shooting the highest price to win the listing. But how you can combat this easily is call the elephant out in the room. When you're at the listing appointment, tell the seller, hey, look, when you're hiring me for my marketing, my unique selling proposition, my expertise to navigate the deal. The price is something that we agree on as a team to really set. I have my recommendations, and I have a certain limit at what I'm willing to take this listing up to. And that's the key. When you call the elephant out in the room then and you say, a lot of agents will just shout the highest number at you so that they can get the listing. You say, like, look, this is my recommendation. I recommend X and X price. I'm willing to take it up to this if you have a price reduction strategy in mind. And I would only say that if they're talking about pushing the price. I wouldn't bring this up unless they're talking about pushing the price. But I would say, I think it should be priced at 400. If you want to push to 425, I'll consider it if you'll do a price drop if it doesn't sell in a week or two. We definitely want to be aggressive if we're not getting any showings as well. But it's not worth it for me to take it a penny over 425. When you're doing that, you're telling the seller you have standards. You're telling them the fact that they need to hire you for you and not for the price you shouted at them in your CMA. You really need to show off your marketing and your unique selling proposition, as well as your ability to navigate a deal better than the next expert in the room. And I think calling that out at a listing appointment is a crucial principle that you need to follow, and something that I always did. And I had a pretty solid record every time I've been into a listing. I was like 99% good. I would walk in half asleep and could win one. I was definitely had not many issues competing in listings. So I think that was a super helpful tactic because I called out that strategy. Calling out the elephant in the room is a super smart thing to do so that you can combat what you might be battling. So hopefully that was helpful. I hope you found some value or some tips in pricing a home. It's definitely a daunting task sometimes. If you're new to the business, it's something that can really scare you your first couple times. Don't be afraid to have a few opinions on it, have a couple people's devils advocate you. The best thing you can do is lay out your theory on all the pieces of paper with your laptop, show them all the math that you're doing, overwhelm them with your theory, because that's showing, first of all, that you can do the work, that you're an expert, that you can read and interpret the data, and it's really just going to communicate to them that you are the expert, and that's why you're the one that's going to represent them and sell this home, and that's why they can't, because they don't know how to decipher all that data and do all that craziness. So I wish you the best of luck when you price a home. I hope you found this video valuable. If I can help you in any way, or if you want to talk about our Shark Partner Program, or we give a lot of these tips, tricks, strategies, full-blown video courses away for free, feel free to reach out to me at the contact info below. I'd be happy to jump on a call with you and see how I can help you crush it in real estate. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next video. And like always, I'll see you at the top.